Okay, let's get into game 2. Haymaker versus PottyPirate. Here we are in the bottom left, it's Haymaker, and in the top right, PottyPirate. Again, both players going Protoss. So in the last game, Haymaker sort of teched up while PottyPirate decided to just kind of mass zealots, and that almost worked out for him, but in the end it was the superior tech of Haymaker that came good. So let's see what sort of style they go for in this game. I'm kind of pretty pleased, I suppose, to see PottyPirate put a gas down, because in the last game, you know, he got a long way through the game before there was any gas involved in his build whatsoever. You normally wait until you've got a gateway building before you build the gas. You don't generally need to have your hands on the gas that early, but you know, details. So the gateway comes down for both players. As you'd expect, and everything so far looking remarkably normal. Yeah, man. So this gas has finished up, but there's no workers actually mining it. So you need to get some workers in there. Otherwise, what's the point in this building? Second gateway comes down for Potty. There's also a second gateway building for Haymaker. So yeah, this is quite a big map. It's got this sort of easy to defend, expand out the back. So you know, the only way into that is through your main base. So this map kind of begs for a fast expand. But doesn't look like either of the players are going to take advantage of that straight away. It's also a reasonable walk distance across the map. It's not crazy short distance, you know, so it's not a great map for a rush. It is a good map for a sort of macro or economic game. So this probe, where's he going? PottyPirate has sent this worker across to his opponent's base, and I don't mind that at all. Just, you know, hide a worker in the corner of your opponent's base, maybe later use it to have a look around, or even warp in a pylon somewhere crafty like here, so that later on you can just beam in some units there and you know, just go and wreck your opponent's mineral line when they're not looking. Cybernetics core finished up then for Haymaker, and the Cyb core is in sort of under construction for PottyPirate, so that's looking very pleasing indeed. No units yet for PottyPirate. One lone zealot for Haymaker, and it's going to have a couple of swipes at this worker. Unless the worker stands still, he won't be able to kill it. The worker is going to stand still, so you know, you never know. And Haymaker has a look at his opponent's base as well. So he's had a bit of a peek around, and he's going to hide this in the corner. This guy had a bit of a peek around, and if we look, we can see that he knows, you know, pretty much everything that's up inside of his opponent's base. So I quite like this. I quite like this. Just hiding a worker in your opponent's base. Just leave him there. That's a good plan. I'm not sure what this guy's doing. I don't know why he's sent another worker across. Maybe we'll find out soon. Looks like, yeah, PottyPirate hiding a worker as well. So this time, Stalkers in production for both players. And Stalkers are, you know, it's kind of that's your bread and butter unit as Protoss. Stalkers are a good, versatile unit. Yeah, he lost that worker. That's a shame. If that was still hidden up there, you know, that could have been handy later. This one parked right outside. You know, I like that. Park a worker here. Why not? If your opponent moves out with, you know, 5-6 Stalkers, you're going to know about it. You're going to have plenty of advance warning if your opponent is moving out onto the map. So I have, you know, no qualms about that at all. Just leave a worker parked somewhere obvious like that. You know, maybe you lose that worker, but if you get some information from that loss, it was sort of a worker well spent, really, wasn't it? You know, all sorts of good reasons why you can suicide in a worker into your opponent's base. It lets you know how many units they've got. You can see what it gets killed by. You know, so this guy going in, you know, PottyPirate presumably was watching that, and now he knows that his opponent has got this small force of a few Stalkers and a Zealot, so he can be feeling pretty confident that his opponent isn't about to come and smash his face in. Haymaker building a mothership core. I noticed in the last game, Potty did not build a mothership core. Now, he probably didn't have enough gas to do so, but the mothership core is absolutely crucial unit for Protoss. It's just such a fantastic defensive unit. Yeah, mothership cores are going to be changed soon in the upcoming patch, but for the time being, if you are playing Protoss, you know, as soon as your Cyb core finishes, build a mothership core and get used to the spells that it can cast. They are great units. So Haymaker again has a Twilight Council. Not sure what he's going to upgrade from that, but so we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, over here, Potty is building Adept. Now, Adept, yeah, an interesting unit. It has this shared function, which can make it great for sort of scouting your opponent's base. But you need to rally this Nexus onto the minerals, otherwise the workers it produces will just sit outside it looking at you. Also needs to get some workers into that gas. So a few more gateways coming down for Potty, and you know, all in all, I like what I'm seeing from these two players at this early stage in the tournament. I'm seeing, you know, plenty of production facilities. Okay, they're not always busy, but you know, that's not too bad. I'm seeing Blink being researched, which is a pretty good choice when you've got this many stalkers. I'm seeing people expand. You know, there's a couple of errors here or there, but all in all, for this early stage, I like this. This is good. These are very, very promising signs for this competition. Now, I noticed this expand for Potty is not in the sort of safe at the back Expo. Oftentimes you'll see players choosing to deliberately do their first expand down here, knowing that they've then got an easy third to take. So look, this worker in the middle of the map for Potty sees this stuff coming. He knows it's coming. Now Potty, given that you know that that stuff is coming, why aren't you moving your units into position? You are moving your units into position. Well done. All of these need to be busy. You've got a lot of money in the bank, so there's no reason why your buildings shouldn't be producing stuff. There's no reason to not kind of be pressing buttons. It's worth kind of bearing in mind that when you've got a set of gateways like this, you can double click to highlight them all. You can hit, oh, here we go. So Stalker v Stalker, it looks like there's more for Haymaker than Potty. Potty, you need to pull back and maybe get your workers involved in this fight as well. You know, there's stuff about to come out, so yeah, not, oh, beautiful force field to block them. That's really, really well done. I like that a lot, Haymaker. I really like that. These next units, you need to get them into the fray as well. If you do that, you know, defender's advantage, you should be able to hold this, but get everything attacking, get it attacking now. You need to grab all of these, you need to grab these workers as well, and these, and you need to go for this. You know, maybe he's just happy enough to forfeit this, but that's a real shame if he does. This isn't going to go so well. You need to get these other guys in as well. Oh, could this? Oh, and a little blink. I'm not sure what the blink achieved there, but you know, it's nice to see it used. This does not look good for Potty. It looks like Haymaker has got enough to just come up the ramp here and win. And it looks like we are going to see the GG. Well, there it is. So, you know, stayed on one base, built an army, went across the map, and delivered justice. That's how you do it. Simple as that. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it. Yeah, just before that action, I was going to give you the tip that if you highlight your gateways, barracks, whatever it might be, highlight all of them and hit Control and then a number button, that hotkeys those buildings to that number. So, you know, if you want to build another round of stalkers, let's say you've hotkeyed them all to number 5, you just tap 5 and then you press S however many times. If you've got 5 gateways, you press S 5 times and you're now building 5 stalkers. If in terms of queuing, if you have several gateways or several barracks highlighted and selected, if you start holding down the marine buttons, holding down the stalker button, it will add them, it will get those to build or queue them up at the barracks or the gateway that has the shortest queue. So, you know, the AI will automatically add it to whichever building is going to be able to produce it first. So it's a really convenient way of keeping on top of your macro, because, you know, without having to go and look at your buildings, you can just tap the buttons. You can just tap, you know, 5 SSS and you're building 3 more stalkers without having to break stride. And you can be, you don't have to, you know, you could be on the other side of the map. If you're Haymaker right now, you could be watching this action and just hitting your hotkey and building stuff from home. Well, pretty sweet. So Potty, you know, potentially could have held that game. It may not have looked that close in the end, but actually Potty could have held. You know, he did the right thing to retreat early on with the stalkers, and he pulled them back. I really liked the force field that went on here that split Potty's forces in half. That was a beautiful thing, prevented reinforcements from coming down the ramp. You know, obviously Haymaker didn't know that actually there weren't any reinforcements ready to come down, but it also prevented that small force from escaping as well. So really, really well done with that. The mothership core, he used the spells from that, dropping time bombs, which the time warp slows your opponent's forces down and makes them move slower and shoot slower, you know, and gives you that slight edge. If you're against stalkers, the other thing you can do, the sentry can pop a guardian shield. And as you can see, if you read the thing on the bottom right there, it reduces incoming damage by 2, so it's basically like adding 2 armor to all of your units. So if you have a look, you know, if you're against stalkers, stalkers do 10 damage per shot, so you know that's a 20% reduction in the damage you're taking from stalkers, which is well worthwhile. And certainly when you've got a small bunch of units like this, the Guardian Shield, they would all be inside the Guardian Shield from that sentry. So I like that he was using the spellcasters. I like that a lot. But yeah, Potty, perhaps you could have held it if you'd have pulled, you know, you did the right thing by pulling back. If you'd maybe waited for these 3 stalkers that came out of these to come out and then attacked with all of the workers, all of your stalkers, you should have had enough to kill that. The workers, you know, they get up close and personal and surround it, and what they really do is they absorb fire. So these stalkers would shoot the workers because they're the closest things attacking them, which makes your units remain alive. So your units would be, so your trading worker, so basically for damage on these that would ultimately allow you to win the fight. However, that's it. GG. Now I also have a couple of other replays that hopefully I've got time to cast and get up on the channel for you this evening. If not, I'll probably get them up there tomorrow. Yeah, nice.